Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
Yes, the women's soccer team, the U.S. women's team, bowed out at the same round as the men did. And I told you, Jay, I kind of teased you, no one else heard this, but I said, I need to come clean or correct myself for how I was thinking. No one heard what was going through my head when they first lost. We were texting a little bit, but no one...
You're probably holding back.
Didn't really get to talk about it. Was I frustrated? Was I angry? Yes. Is it an absolute disappointment? Yes. And I think these players would tell you that. But I was really, really angry and frustrated and upset because the women's side, I've been campaigning, getting up on the platform for them to use what they do and the success that they've had to champion the sport of soccer, the sport that I absolutely love, because they do it right. And we saw the exact opposite. I would say there was maybe sometimes a little too much focus on the suits that they were provided with by Nike, the pregame fit. They were a little bit more focused on that. TikTok, because they knew that they're such a dominant team, it never felt like they were trying to take things to that next level. Knowing that, yes, we are good, but we have to go out there and prove it because teams are getting better. They didn't put their foot down and dominate like we all expect them to. But my frustrations really settled down when I saw a clip on Twitter. I hadn't seen the whole interview, but one of the U.S. women players that I know a lot of fans were missing from a lot of the injuries that they had, Tobin Heath, who was one of their midfielders. She's been doing a podcast throughout the World Cup, and she had on one of the players from Sweden, from the very team that knocked the U.S. out. And I can't remember her name right now. I'm not going to try to butcher a Swedish name, just like I wasn't going to butcher Macedon's real full name. Like, that would not be respectful.
I didn't even want the challenge. I was damn good.
I told you we might try, but I decided against that very, very quickly. So I'm not going to try to pronounce her name. But she is a long-standing member of the Swedish national team. She's a captain of that team. And came on the podcast and said, basically put everything in perspective. The reason why Sweden won, and you're seeing some of these other teams that weren't expected to do well in this tournament do well, is because of that U.S. women's team. And some of the players that are on there and the players that have come before them, because they have been the example to all other nations that want to continue to show that across the pond, soccer is still king, queen, whatever crown you want to put on it. That's our sport, and the U.S. is taking that from us. But also, they are doing things the right way. They're doing it so well. They are the role models. They are the example. So to hear that, it put things in perspective that, yes, I still reaffirm what I've always thought is that while I love both national teams, both sides of it, men's and women's, I've always liked the women's side more because of the fundamentals and the success that they have, but developing players the right way and every new wave that never seems to be a drop-off or anything like that. And that's what every other country is seeing, and that's what they're modeling themselves after. So the U.S. is still the pinnacle of the sport, and it's good that there's now more teams, more nations that are playing well because, you don't want what we used to see in the NCAA tournament for both the men's and women's side, where it was just the blue bloods, the big programs that won, and it was all chalk in the bracket. We love all the upsets, don't we? That's what makes March Madness March Madness. That's what you want to see at every other level, that everybody's play has been risen because of what the U.S. has put out there from the women's side of the game.
They did the exact same thing that Tiger Woods did. Before Tiger Woods, if you look at golfers, they weren't these workout machine people that were going and just working out all the time and constantly golfing. Like Tiger Woods, all these great golfers that he can't beat now, mainly because of other reasons, but early before injuries and all this craziness, all these great golfers have risen up because of Tiger Woods.
Yes.
The competition was brought up because of him. And that's exactly what those girls did. And that's why I told you when I was watching the game along with you out somewhere else, but I told you I got real annoyed when people were just going after him. And I think a lot of it had to do, it's like their political side into it, and that's what happened. And
yeah.
They just were waiting to just come at him. And if you don't like him because of that, whatever. But don't sit there and say they were just a terrible team and a disgrace to this country. Because, like, dude, you won the last two. That is hard. Yeah. That is not common whatsoever in World Cup. It's never been three-peated ever in men's or women's, and it has been going on a long time. So that tells you when you're doing stuff like that and you two-peat, not only are you rising up the competition, they're all coming at you. You're the target. You're the one they want to take down. Every person you play, they know you're the best, so they have to bring above their best. They have to be 120% nonstop if you're going to beat the mighty U.S. women's team. And could they have done better themselves? Sure, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm not a soccer pro. That's your expertise. Yeah. I'm not going to come out here and try to break it down like that. But to sit there and some of these people that came after him, like, dude, come on, play some little respect. They were the 2-time winning champions, and I think they won one before that even, or maybe two. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was kind of
the people
over the hill, over the top. People
right.
Are
the people that
nuts.
get to be highly critical are people like Carly Lloyd that played for the team and still care about the team. You know, when she says something and called out the team for having that draw in the final group game, and that's why they were in second place in their group instead of first. When she calls them out, it's not just because she wants to get on TV and use a platform just to, have a hot take. That's not a hot take. That's a captain, a former captain, long-standing member, over 100 appearances for the U.S. women's national team that still feels that in her bones, feels that connection to that team, wanting more and wanting what she is saying to get into the leadership within that team. And we saw a much better effort in the game. They just couldn't. The biggest issue coming into the tournament is what did them in. They just couldn't finish. And when you are a soccer team going through that, that is one of the harshest feelings ever. And to lose on PKs, that's harsh as well. But that's the way the sport is. Sweden made the ones they needed to. The U.S. missed on the ones they needed to make. And, hey, they're out of the World Cup, and now we're going to get a new World Cup champion. And I'm sure the scenes when that cup is lifted, when that trophy is lifted,
they're going to go crazy.
Look, I mean, yeah, they won. You said it best. They won the last two, and it's probably worth more. But to put it in perspective for other, novice sports soccer fans or people that are learning the game right now, they're only playing this tournament every 4 years, and players are changing. A two-peat is at least worth a four-peat in the sports that we see right now, like back-to-back years. Back-to-back World Cups.
Oh, on top of the fact that we are transitioning because of this.
I'm shortchanging. I'm shortchanging that, but for argument's sake, at least worth a four-peat.